And at 25 minutes past the hour, it's time now for the True Green Greens Report. And when you look at this particular golf course from outside 25 feet, you can see the difficulties. Pebble Beach being number one, Sedgefield. And then finally, the JW Marriott TPC San Antonio, the Oaks course, third, trying to make putts outside of 25 feet. We sent it over to our putting green with Charlie and Chris. Gentlemen, why is that the reason? What in particular, as we take a look at the 11th hole, that flagstick, you can see it is howling. It's been whipping all morning long, equally and even more demanding today. But why in particular is this golf course so challenging to make long putts?
Well, Gary, these greens have a lot of movement in them. So you get more than 25 feet away from the hole, you're going to be dealing with some big breaking putts. We'll get to that in a minute. But what we noticed, that wind is howling this morning. These surfaces are very, very fast. And Chris, I hate days like this where you put the ball down in front of your mark, you pick your mark up, and you look at that ball and it's oscillating.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
You know, it's hard. For me, what I try to do, especially when it's windy, a couple things. I get a little bit wider base, just a teeny bit, and then I almost feel like I kick my knees out a little bit, because what I'm trying to do is keep my lower body as quiet as I can. And then when you're over the putt, the worst thing ever, I mean, we've all seen it, is you get over it and all of a sudden the putter goes back like this because the wind's blowing all over the place and it's hard to make solid contact. So I guess it's just trying to stay real still, going through your routine and just realizing that you're not going to make every putt. You're not going to hit every putt solid, and just try to not leave yourself those 3 or 4 footers in the wind, because those are the toughest ones, because those if the wind gets a hold of those, it can knock them all over the place.
It's interesting for me to listen to Chris talk about the adjustments that he makes in big wind, trying to solidify your base. That was never an issue for me, folks. I never made any adjustments in my putting approach. So the wind was blowing, because if the wind was blowing hard enough to move me, they just brought everybody in off the golf course. Okay, let's talk a little bit about big breaking putts. Yeah. We're going to see some big breaking
especially
putts.
on speedy greens like these are.
This week. We'll see them at Augusta. Houston will be fast next week. The kind of putt where the hole is over there and you got to turn your back to the hole basically and go up that way. How do you prepare for something like that?
Well, what I try to do is I actually try to make another hole. So if I'm looking at the putt and the hole's over here and then I'm playing over here for the break, I'll put a hole over there to where I feel like I need to make it to that, to where it catches the break to go in.
The superintendent doesn't like that though, right?
No.
You're making a hole in your mind.
My hole in my mind,
These Florida Gators, you got to get a little bit out of them.
Yes, I'm making a hole, an imaginary hole over there that I'm trying to putt to, and then once it gets to that point, then it's going to roll over to that point. So you really have to use your imagination. You have to think about all the kind of things that go with it, because a lot of times at Augusta, you can have that 15-footer down the hill, and if you go straight at it, if you don't make it, it's going to be 15, 20 feet by, but you can play a little bit different spot out there. You can bring it over here and bring it down and get it by the hole, because a lot of times you're just trying to two-putt it, and the hardest thing about Augusta is you can have a 25-foot putt, and even in Texas here, these greens are undulated too, where you're looking at over here, and the hole's over here, and you're only trying to hit the ball maybe 2 feet.
Right.
So you're just barely getting it started. That's the most difficult part.
Try to take advantage of the practice putting green before a round when you know you're going to be facing conditions like this. Okay, let's move a little bit closer to the hole. On super fast greens, in particular a windy day, you got it 3, 4, 5 feet. You're up above the hole, right? If you miss that putt, it's going 5, 6, 7 feet past. You have to accelerate to get it started on line, but yet you can't have too much acceleration. How do you deal with that?
I always felt like if I hit the putts from above the hole a little bit firmer, not trying to hit them firm.
Ooh, you're scaring me.
But when I say that, I mean, I'm not trying to just dribble them in. If I at least hit the back of the hole with them, I'm going to have a better chance of making them. It's the ones that you hit soft that kind of tail off one way or the other, especially in the wind. In the wind, you're going to have to hit these putts, because if you hit them soft and let the wind get any hold of them, you better play wind. And you really just have to be confident. You get on greens like San Antonio is, like Augusta is, the greens are pure. I mean, there is no faults in these greens. And if you hit a bad putt, you've missed the putt.
Right.
A lot of times, you'll hit putts and you'll miss it, and you'll look for something like there's nothing there. It's you just missing a putt. So I think that, confidence and realizing, especially when the greens are this fast, you're going to have a bunch of 3 and 4 footers, and you just go. That's what I practice. When I go to San Antonio, I just work on my little drill where I do 3, 4, 5 footers, and the same thing in Augusta. I just try to make a bunch of 3, 4, 5 footers, so I'm used to it.
Well, I can tell you this, our folks at home, great players like Chris DeMarco have won a whole bunch of money, confidence on short putts. It's something that he mentioned. When Chris is in a tournament and he's got a 3 or 4 or 5 footer, he's worried about making that putt that's in front of him. He's not thinking about what happens if you miss. You're not worried about the ball getting 5 or 6 feet past, right?
Well, I don't. If I'm 5 or 6 feet for the most part, I'm definitely don't want a 5 or 6 footer back. I'm certainly of the mindset where when it's windy, it's different. of using the whole hole to make my putts. I'd rather see putts lip in than lip out. So if you're a little firm with your putting and you hit the hole, tendency is it's going to lip out. For me, I like to see if it catches any part of the hole, it's going to catch it and go in.